everybody, this is Professor Lunger. I just wanted to quickly go over some APA formatting stuff with you guys. If this is a review for you, you can skip through this, but there's some important information in here, for the 7th edition. But I figured it's kind of a good idea to go over all of these things before you start writing your paper, since this is going to be a really long paper, and if we're struggling with APA formatting and citations, it can make for a very long semester for you guys with all the revisions I'm going to put in there for you. So hopefully this helps. I'm going to try and keep it pretty short and to the point, but if you have any questions, please let me know, okay? So welcome to the APA Formatting and Style Guide. This PowerPoint presentation is designed to introduce you to all the basics of the APA formatting and style. This was originally taken from the OWL at Purdue's website. However, I did edit some of the information to make it specific to what you're going to be doing over the course of this semester with your specific paper, okay? Please know that the OWL at Purdue website is an excellent resource for you all, and the website is built in as a tab in your Blackboard course for easy access in case you need it. Having said that, I do expect you to have the APA 7th edition textbook or manual, because I will be referencing that throughout the course of this semester. A lot of times if I'm making a revision, I'll be like, please refer to page whatever in the APA manual, and that will bring you right to the page that you need to look at to fix that mistake, okay? I have left the direct link to this original PowerPoint in the notes here for your references if you want to access it. So just know that's there in case. Like I said, I did edit it to make it more specific to, more specific for your purposes. So the APA Manual 7th edition contains the detailed guidelines for formatting a paper in APA style. APA formatting provides the writers with a format for cross-referencing their sources. There will be a link from the paragraph that you're writing in your paper to the reference page at the end of the paper. And this cross-referencing system allows readers to locate the publication information of the source material. So this allows me to go to your in-text citation and then follow that up with a reference and then look up the reference if I need to look something up, okay? This is of great value also for researchers who may want to locate your sources for their own research projects. The proper use of APA style also shows the credibility of writers. Such writers show accountability to their source material, and most importantly, the use of APA style can protect writers from plagiarism, which we know is a huge thing. We take plagiarism very seriously here at Misericordia, as I did go over in your orientation video. There is no tolerance, a zero tolerance policy for that here in the graduate department. Plagiarism can result in dismissal from the program, so please make sure that you're citing all of your references that you're using. Personal pronouns are not to be used while writing formally, okay, or writing professionally. So examples of what not to use would be your I, you, he, she, it, we, they, me, him, her, us, or them. I personally, when I started college, oh geez, back in the day, when I started college, I had a really hard time with the personal pronouns of you. I don't know why, but I used it a lot. So anyway, so it took me a long time, but with practice, you guys will get better at writing, or I would say a lot. So you just write this writer or the author, or, so you just have to change it. So the wrong way to write something would be he states in the guideline. The correct way would be Smith, which is the author, 2019, states, or the author states, da 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 da. I do see a lot of students using personal pronouns in their papers. Remember, this is not your original work that you're referencing. So when you think about it that way, it's not, you are not coming up with this information. The authors and the references that you're citing are. So hopefully that makes it a little bit easier, and make sure that you're giving credit to the authors. This comes in a little bit funny on the PowerPoint here, but I do have the original PowerPoint posted in Blackboard for you as well. The first one is supposed to be a check mark, and the red is supposed to be an X, okay? So active voice should also be used instead of a passive voice, and here are some examples of that on this slide. This sometimes takes work to kind of get corrected if you're used to writing this way. The Writing Center can also help you with this along the way if you notice that you've been using more of a passive voice instead of an active voice. And the examples are there for you. Clarity and conciseness are the major concerns when reporting research in APA. So it's not easy to balance clarity, which requires accuracy, and conciseness, which requires packing in as much information as you can onto or into a paragraph or onto a page. So to achieve clarity, you should avoid vague wording and be specific in the descriptions and explanations. To achieve conciseness, you should condense the information. So because APA formatting is widely used in science-related papers, the language of APA format is plain and simple. A writer should avoid using metaphors and minimize the use of figurative language, which is typical for more of creative writing. So you're not going to be using descriptive things. You're not going to be using the figurative language. So basically what you're going to be doing is reporting the information in the paper in the easiest and simplest way. So you do want your sentence structures to be more complex. You're not just going to be writing, the sky is blue, the grass is green. You know, that's not what you're going to be doing. You're going to be writing out the information and critically analyzing it and putting it on paper, okay? But you don't need to be so descriptive that you're writing in a very creative way. So you're not going to be talking about, you know, how the blue sky was so beautiful and the green grass was growing up tall, and you know, none of that. You're just going to, the information is going to be listed, and then you're going to critically process it and analyze it as to how it applies to your specific research. And we'll go through more specifics with that each week as we go through what you need to include in that particular part of your paper. A literature review paper, which is what you guys are actually doing, is the summary of what the scientific literature in a disciplined field says about the topic of research. And that's what we're going to be doing in this course. So you are actually taking, you're taking the information that's already been researched, already been studied, and you're putting it together, and you're trying to summarize in a literature review what that information says. What's the best evidence-based practice based on those three main articles that you have found, okay? And you're building the case as to why this particular thing is actually credible. Now, if you went on for your DNP, you would be doing a very similar approach to this, but then you're going to be carrying out that research and carrying out that practice with research that's already out there, okay? So for this particular step in your lifelong journey, lifelong learning journey, you're going to be basically gathering the information, gathering the research, and you're going to be putting out on paper and presenting what you have found. That's what this includes, okay? The paper will include the title page, the introduction, a reference list, as well as abstracts, obviously the main body of your paper. You're going to have two appendices, which we'll discuss when we get to those areas. But that's basically the overall thought process with what you're doing here in the MSN program. The general format, which is introduced in the following 6 slides, is what we will be utilizing for your final synthesis paper as well. If you have any questions specifically, please reach out, and also use your references like this lecture, the PowerPoint, the APA manual, and your research textbook. And then also, I do have some other resources that I'll be lecturing on as well that will help you through this. So this slide presents the general formatting of an APA formatted paper. An essay should be typed, it should be double spaced on a standard size paper, 8.5 by 11 inch with 1 inch margins on all sides. Times New Roman is the font of choice in 12-point size. There are now other acceptable fonts for APA 7th edition. However, for the purposes of this final paper in this course, I want you to use Times New Roman and 12-point font, okay? I want you to make sure that you are including a page header indicating a short title of the essay or a short title of your paper on the left top of the paper and a page number on the right top. And I have a template ready to go for you, so it should be a lot easier. So if you're not visually getting this, if you're a visual learner like me, I will also show you some examples, okay? The words running head that were used previously in the 6th edition are no longer necessary, okay? So in the 7th edition, it's literally just a short form of your title in the left upper header in all caps. No more running head, okay? This slide presents the general format for the APA style header. This document should include a page header indicating a shortened title of the essay and a page number in the upper right. So this is what it actually would look like on your paper. And this is also is included in the title page. So every single page of your document needs to have what this looks like here. So you'll have your, let me get my pointer here for you. You'll have your shortened title here in all caps, and then your page number over here. And that'll be on every single page, including the title page, okay? This slide introduces the 4 required parts of an APA paper, which are the title page, the abstract, the main body, which is the paper itself, and then the reference list. An abstract page and the list of references are titled as abstract and references, respectively. In addition to these sections, you will also have 2 appendices at the end of your paper as well. So those appendices are going to come after the references. One will be for your algorithm that you develop, and the other one is going to be based on your theoretical framework that you develop. And more of those details to follow in the upcoming weeks on how you're going to actually be developing those. But I want to give you just kind of an overall understanding of what you're going to end up with in your finished product. This slide informs you that APA 7 distinguishes between professional and student papers in the terms of paper formatting. So it notes that most of the differences extend only to the title page and the running header. When you are looking up anything from OWL or you're looking up anything from the APA 7th edition manual, we are going to be using the professional version, not the student version for the final synthesis paper in this course. And that's important to note, because the header is used in the professional version and not in the student version. But this professional paper that we're writing, we want you to be able to take pieces of it and publish it if you want to, okay? So that's why we're doing it in more of a professional manner. It's not just like a regular assignment that you would do. This slide provides a visual example for the proper placement of the page header and the full title on the cover page of a professional paper. So you're going to type a shortened form of the paper's title in all capitals in the page header flush left with the page number flush right, and then type the complete title in the upper half of the page bolded and centered. Below the title, you're going to type your name, Misericordia University, since that's the institution you're currently affiliated with, and there's more information that you're going to have on there. Now, this slide does show you author note and all these other things on here. We're not going to have this section here. So we're going to be having the header with the page number, your full title is going to be listed here, and then all of this information is going to be listed here. And again, I have a paper template for you guys to follow that's already written out for you. So all you have to do is just download it and start writing on it. This slide provides a visual example of an abstract page, which consists of a page header, a heading, labeled abstract, and a brief summary of the paper accurately presenting its contents. This is again showing you that a professional paper should contain a running head in the header, flush left, and a page number flush right. Type in the heading, type the heading abstract centered at the top of the page. Again, I have this in your template. And then type the paragraph of the paper summary. And this abstract is going to be 150 to 250 words in a block format, which means that there's no indentation in an abstract, okay? So you do not tab an abstract. The only part that you're going to have a tab on an abstract is actually for the key words here down at the bottom, okay? So the abstract should contain the research topic, a brief introduction and attention grabber, the PICO question you are using and you are researching, your 3 articles that were used to develop the research, so your RCT, your systematic review, and your guideline, results or conclusions of the paper, your theorist that you used, and conclusions. So more on the abstract write-up is going to be noted later in the semester, but I wanted to give you kind of a guideline as to what you're going to be expecting. This is going to be one of the last things that you actually complete for your paper, because you need to have all the different pieces of your paper to be able to write your abstract. Your abstract is what we look at when we look up a journal. We want to see if that actually is going to be applicable to what we're researching and what we're trying to find, right? We read the abstract really quick. That's what you're going to be developing in this. A short list of keywords labeled with keywords in italics written in the line with the text should follow the abstract. And these terms and concepts might be helpful for the readers to find your specific work in a search engine. So when you're going into databases and you're using those mesh terms or those main concept idea terms, these are the keywords that are actually going to help different researchers find your work, okay? And those are going to be listed down here. So you're going to tab keywords, and then you're going to write out your different keywords that you used, okay? And again, we'll go over this stuff as we go through the weeks, but I'm giving you a big overview. This slide provides the basic reminders about formatting the text. So make sure that the first text page is page number 3. So page number 1 is the title page. Page number 2 is going to be your abstract page. Page number 3 is where you're actually going to start your paper. Start with typing the essay title centered and bolded at the top of the page. Type the text double-spaced with all sections following each other without a break. Do not use blank space between paragraphs. And then create in-text citations to identify the sources used in the paper. So just make sure that you're referencing. This slide goes over the formatting and the purpose of references. Again, I just want to stress that each source reference within the paper, in other words, your in-text citations, need to also appear in the reference pages, so which appears at the end of the paper. So after the reference pages, again, you're actually going to have your 2 appendices that follow that, but we're just talking about the references right now. So to create a reference page, you're going to center and bold the heading, References, at the top of the page, double space reference entries, flush left for the first line, and then you're going to have an indent for subsequent lines for that particular source. It's called a hanging indent, okay? And to use the hanging feature of the indent, the hanging indent feature in Word, there's actually directions that you can do. I have that set up for you in a template, but it is in here in the notes section of this PowerPoint just in case, for whatever reason, you need to reset it, okay? You're going to order your entries alphabetically by the author's surnames, which means, you know, the author's last name and the first author that's going to be there is where you're going to use your alphabetical. If the source is anonymous, you can use the title as the author's surname. For a special note, APA is only interested in what they call recoverable data. So that's data in which other people would be able to find. For example, if you have a personal communication, such as a letter, a memo, an email, an interview, a telephone conversation, those should not be included in the reference list since they are not recoverable by other researchers. However, you do need to put them in as in-text citations so I know where you got that information from. Typically, we don't have those things when we're writing this kind of a special paper, but I just wanted you to know that. Also, you also need to include at the end of each reference, if it's like a journal, for instance, they'll have a DOI, also known as a digital object identifier, and those have to be included at the end of your references. If you don't know if a particular journal or a particular article has a DOI, then you need to look it up. So literally Google digital object identifier, search website, and it'll come up that you could just enter some of the information like the title, the year it was published, you know, what journal published it, etc., and it will bring up the DOI number if there is one for that particular article that you're using. A DOI is a string of numbers, letters, and symbols used to permanently identify an article or document and link it to a web. A DOI will help your reader easily locate a document from your citation. To use a DOI at the end of a reference, it will always start with. So when you're putting it into your actual reference list, after you write out the author and the title and the journal of where it came from, your volume, your issue number, and your page number, you're going to put in this https://doi.org/ and then the actual identifier number will be listed. And it's kind of small and hard to see here, but this is what that's going to look like, okay? And it does not have to be a link like that, but it can be, okay? So that's what those DOI numbers are there and what they look like. So this is just kind of going over some of the references basics. I just left that in there for you in case you wanted to kind of go over it. This is the same thing, you know, if you need some refreshers onto how to do some APA citations, but you guys should be familiar with that at this point. So APA is a complex system of citations that can be time-consuming. It's definitely time-consuming, so make sure that you're allotting time to do this and take the time to look things up if you don't know how to do it off the top of your head. I'm in a doctoral program and I'm still looking up specific things, okay? So make sure that you're taking the time to do it correctly. Because if not, I'm just going to be you're going to be doing it anyway. I'm going to be putting a little page number and say, please refer to page whatever in your APA manual, which you're just going to have to go back and revise it. So you might as well try to do it right the first time. If you don't understand it, if you have a question, please just reach out to me because it can get a little bit confusing sometimes, okay? So it's time consuming to learn and it's difficult to recall when needed. To help you handle all the requirements of APA formatting, this slide kind of introduces a strategy of surviving it, okay? So I just want to stress the importance of correctly identifying the type of source first. So for example, is it an article from a newspaper? Is it from a scholarly journal? Is it a hard copy? Is it an electronic version? All of those things are going to help you narrow down what type of source and how to reference it. After that, when the source type is identified correctly, it's fairly easy to find a sample of a similar reference in the APA textbook or in an online APA resource. The APA guide on the OWL website is particularly easy to browse since it's kind of linked in there, and they're organized by types of sources. I personally prefer to use the APA textbook myself. I have pages specifically marked off for journals and organizations and different references. So what I want you to do now is I want you to get out your APA 7th edition manual, and you could pause me if you need to. And then when you come back, I'm going to have you mark off certain pages that I know that you're going to be using throughout the semester and going to be important, okay? So I want you to mark the following pages off for me. So I promise it's going to save you time. Page 266 has the basics for the in-text citations at the bottom left of the page, okay? So 266. Page 317 are for references for journal citations, which you will probably use the majority of the time in your reference list. Page 319 is an up-to-date reference in case you need it. Page 320 is for a newspaper article. Page 321 is a textbook reference, which I'm sure you'll definitely need that, especially when it comes to the theorist part. Page 329 are organization references, and those are extremely helpful when you're pulling up statistics, like your attention grabbers in the beginning of your intro or the beginning of your abstract from like the CDC or the World Health Organization. That's when you would use that page. Epocrates is also noted on page 340, just in case you want to kind of provide some more evidence with your guideline. Those are basically the main ones that I use pretty much all the time. I hope that's helpful for you, but you could definitely look up any other sources in that APA manual. And if you need anything, you need any help with a particular thing, just let me know. I actually find the APA 7th edition a lot more user-friendly than the 6th edition, especially with the in-text citations. I find it a lot easier to use. So anyway, so after a sample is found in the APA manual, all it takes is just mirror it precisely and arrange the entries in alphabetical order. So just make sure that they're in alphabetical order in the reference list. This slide explains the basics of in-text citations, both the narrative form and also the ones that you use in the parentheses, okay? In-text citations help to establish credibility of the writer, show respect to someone else's intellectual property, and consequently avoid plagiarism. More practically, in-text citations help readers locate the cited source in the references page. So thus keep the in-text citations brief and make sure that the information provided in the body of the paper should be just enough so that the reader could easily cross-reference the citation with its matching entry on your reference page. So as an example, the body of the paper and the in-text citation together contains the author's name and the year of the publication. A helpful tip is the author or the organization always will be with the year when you are citing something in text. So again, the author or the organization, whatever you're citing, will always be right next to the year. So in this example, on this page or on this slide, you can see the author and the year is together here, the author and the year is together here. Let's say that maybe they quoted something. So they said Atkins 2018 states blah, 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 right? The page number can go at the end, okay? That's the only thing that should be separated. But the author and the year is always together. The page number is the only thing that can be separated, okay? To avoid plagiarism with quotes, also provide a page number or a paragraph or a section that is located in. So it would be P dot space the page number, or it could be para, P-A-R-A, period, space the page number, or it could be the obesity section or something like that. So you don't actually have to count out paragraphs if you're on the CDC website. I like to use the section thing a lot more, and that's something that's new for the 7th edition. That's really nice. This is just some more information if you'd like to kind of refer back to it with quotations, just for some different ways of writing things out, because it gets really monotonous and kind of boring if you're just citing everything like this, you know, with the quote and then the author and the year and the page number after it, and doing that over and over and over again. So this just kind of gives you another way to kind of mix it up. So for the next one, you know, the next sentence, maybe you'll do Hong 2018 stated blah, 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 instead of just putting the author and the year at the end of the sentence every time. This slide provides more information on how to properly construct in-text citations for summaries and paraphrases. Again, just some more information if you want to refer back to it. I'm not going to read through that slide. Acquiring a rich repertoire of signal words and phrases is really key to success in representing others' ideas in the academic writing setting. So just something to refer back to as you start writing. You don't want to just, again, cite at the end of a sentence every single time. You need to be able to mix it up and make your reader engaged in what you're doing, okay? So this just kind of gives you some signal verbs such as, you know, Reynolds acknowledged, blah, 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 blah. And maybe Reynolds contended or argued, et cetera, et cetera. So it kind of just sets the stage for a more engaging experience for the reader. Sometimes the information that you find is similar from 2 different authors or from 2 different sources, so you can cite them like that on a slide. So maybe you found that waist circumference measurement is more credible than BMI. This is, again, my doctoral project that I'm working on, so it's fresh in my mind. But so maybe you find that from 2 different sources. So you can list both of those sources on here by just separating them by a semicolon. And this is just a simple in-text citation in the narrative form and in the with the parentheses at the end for a single reference. Very basic stuff there, but just in case you want to refer back to it. For the APA 7th edition, any references that have 3 or more authors need to use the ETAL. So there are examples on this slide for you to follow, and this is also on page 266 in your APA manual, which I already had you mark off in your text. But this is super important. So if you have 1 or 2 authors, you can list them out. But if you have 3 or more, you're just listing the first author, ETAL, and the year. First author, ETAL, and the year. Okay? Notice up here that there's no comma if you're writing it out within the sentence. If you put it in the parentheses, then you do need a comma. Okay? So if it's a narrative, you don't. If it's in the parentheses, you do. These are just some really common mistakes that I see with students' papers, and I'm just trying to point them out to you. So this is how to cite an unknown author. I would think that everything that you are going to have for your references will have an author, but I just kept that slide in there just in case. Here's a nice example for organizations that you may be citing. So if you're citing the Food and Drug Administration, the CDC, the WHO, this is a nice way to cite that out. This is also really nice way to start abbreviating it as well. So you could put it in here like this and then write FDA, and then from there on out, all you have to write is FDA 2019. Okay? So then you don't need to write Food and Drug Administration 2019 every single time you cite it. And actually, let me go back to that slide. That goes for anything that you want to abbreviate. Your first time that you say, so for instance, I use this a lot. So waist circumference measurement from all of my projects and assignments that I'm doing, waist circumference measurement is WCM. The first time that I mentioned waist circumference measurement, I put in parentheses WCM in all caps in parentheses right after it. And then from there on out in my paper, it's WCM, WCM, WCM. But you have to make sure that you abbreviate it the first time in your paper, and then from there on out, you have to make sure that you're using that for the rest of your paper. So you can't write out waist circumference measurement later on in your paper. All right. Easy way to make sure that you didn't miss any of them is to hit Control F in your Word document, and it will find. That's what it stands for. Is F stands for find. It will find all of your find all of your waist circumference measurements. Okay? Just a little tip and trick. So this is for personal communications. I know that I'm going through these pretty fast, but I just want you to have the information if you need it. You probably won't need that slide. If there are no page numbers and you want to quote something, again, you can use the section that it's in or the paragraph that it's in. So whichever is easiest for you to do. I do find that, like I said, if I'm on the CDC website, a lot of times just the section is a lot easier. And this got cut off when it brings it into Blackboard. I don't know why when I'm lecturing it, but on my actual slide in Blackboard, when you look at it online, you can actually see this a lot better. So I apologize for that. It's just how it pulls over. Technology, I have no control over it. This is just a narrative in text citations without page numbers. The other way is acceptable as well. Just a different style to kind of consider. Just always remember that the year and the author go together, okay? The section, paragraph, or page number can be separated from those two things. This slide explains the system of the headings for APA 7th edition. This is a change from the 6th edition. They are a little bit different, but again, I have that template for your paper all set up and ready to go, and I will go over that with you in Blackboard to kind of help you with these headings. But this slide is definitely great for a visual learner like myself to make sure that I have them in the correct, oh sorry, it didn't change. Now it did. So anyway, so these are the headings, and this is just a nice visual representation of that. And then just as that's an example of how it would look on a paper. Your level 1 heading, level 2, level 3, etc. And then here are the references that you can use for any questions regarding APA formatting. Please know that your APA manual is going to be the best bet to start with. But if you get stuck on something, you can always email the Writing Center. And if that fails, you can always email me a specific question. Hopefully I can find it and, and help you out. If it's something like a strange one-off, we might need to do some more research together, but we'll figure it out. APA takes a lot of practice, and I know that you have been doing it throughout the program, but for this particular paper, it must be a lot more technical, okay? So I hope this was a good review for all of you, and please definitely reach out if you have any questions, okay? And this concludes our PowerPoint presentation for APA formatting.